Some people think working the night shift is peaceful, that it's just coffee, a crappy podcast, and hoping time moves faster. But anyone who's worked through the dead of night knows the truth. The night listens, the night watches, the night gives back. And when you're a janitor in a government building in a tiny town, the kind of place where the supermarket closes at 6 and the streets go dead by 8, you start to notice things. Some doors creak differently. Some sounds don't have a source, and some things only show up after the third knock. If you work night hours that make your body clock file for resignation, or if you've ever seen something watching you through the microwave reflection in the break room, send us your story. Here at, and if it's real, we believe that night shift creatures deserve to be heard, especially if they speak Latin or give knock. Knock knock on your bedroom wall at 3 a.m. If you've lived through something like that, or worse, send it our way. Every strange story is welcome here. And hey, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this one. My name is Keith. I'm 41. And have you ever felt like you were being watched, even when you're completely alone? I'm not talking about that cliche fear when the lights go out or your cat meows into the void. I mean something heavier, denser, that awful pressure on the back of your neck that makes you turn around even when there's no sound. The thing that makes you keep your eyes open just a little longer, like the darkness around you is waiting for you to blink. I never believed in that kind of stuff. Not until I started my shift at the Summit Clean Supply Depot. It was supposed to be a temp job. My town is tiny, maybe 8,000 people if you count the cats. It's wedged between two highways down in southern Missouri. Everybody knows everybody. And when I say everybody, that includes the legends, the cursed families, and the weirdos who swear they saw the devil. Fishing in the river. I was broke, unemployed, and when Jimmy, a guy from the gas station, told me the local night cleaning company needed someone to fill in for a janitor, I said yes right away. What nobody told me was that the supply depot was different. Technically, the company cleaned offices, warehouses, and a school nearby. But this building was where they kept all the heavy-duty equipment, the central depot. It sat at the end of a barely lit road near the industrial zone, the kind of place the city seemed to have forgotten. There was a crooked, rusty sign that read, Summit Clean Night Operations. My shift ran from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. The place felt automatic, like it ran on ghost routines. I got there and found a door key hanging from the door frame, plus an ID badge with my name already printed and laminated. That creeped me out. No one was supposed to know I'd accepted the job yet. But I figured it was just efficiency inside, man, the silence. No music, no radios. Not even the flicker of a monitor light. The building was big, spread over 3 floors, storage rooms, supply closets, janitor lockers, and a locker room that reeked of mildew. My job was to keep the place clean and monitor security. Only there were no cameras, none that I could see. No alarm system either. The routine was simple. Sweep the hallways, restock the shelves, write down anything that looked out of place. That was it. Still, something about the building just felt off. It started with the smell. On the first floor, near the maintenance room, a strange scent hung in the air. It wasn't rotten, just too sweet. Like overripe fruit, fermented, it turned my stomach, but always faded after a few minutes. And every time I got near that maintenance room door, I'd hear a faint click, like something small falling to the floor. On the second night, something else happened. The locker room clock was stuck at 2:17 a.m. frozen. No matter how many times I changed the batteries or adjusted the hands, it always reset back to 2:17. Even the digital one glitched out at the same time. Every time 2:17. And that's when I heard the first knock. It came from upstairs, 3 knocks, not rushed, not loud, just steady, K-N-O-C-K, K-N-O-C-K knock. I froze. Up to that point, I'd assumed I was completely alone. Nobody was supposed to be working at night. That's what they told me. I tried to explain it away. Wind, old pipes. Maybe a raccoon? But then came the second sound. Footsteps above me, moving across the 3rd floor. But they didn't sound right. The rhythm was off, like whoever it was had a limp. A dragging sound between each step. I grabbed the flashlight from the supply locker and went upstairs. The third floor was the darkest. Older walls, water damage stains, peeling paint. Only one bulb worked, all the way at the end of the hallway, and it flickered like it was ready to blow. I didn't see anyone. But I found something on the floor, right in front of the last door. An ID badge, just like mine, same name, same photo, but older. Faded, worn out like it had been used for years. On the back, scribbled in pen, there was a note. "Don't let him look back at you. That thing chilled me to the bone." I stumbled back up to the second floor, nearly tripping. I shoved my badge into my pocket, trying to pretend nothing had happened. Locked myself in the break room and tried to focus on the inventory papers. But the knocking came back. Tock, 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 T-O-C-K, this time from the floor below. Yeah, like it was following me. Each shift became more unbearable than the last. The building's energy shifted every time the clock struck 2:17 a.m. The air turned heavy, the silence more suffocating. And every night I found something new. A key taped to the inside of the fridge, which didn't work. A broom closet with a false back, hiding a staircase that led to a basement not shown on any map. A note under the doormat that read, "He wakes when you feel fear." But the worst was yet to come. One night, after hearing the footsteps and knocks and sink again, I lost it. I ran up to the third floor, this time armed with a bat I'd found in the supply room. I yelled, "Who's there?" Nothing. Silence until I reached the last door. Slightly open. Inside, I found a room that looked like a twisted reflection of the building's reception. Same layout, same furniture, but decayed. The chair's wood was rotted, the phone was covered in dust, and on the wall was a photo of me. But not an old one, it was from tonight. Of me, holding the bat, walking up the stairs. I bolted, but I swear on everything, when I turned the corner, I saw a figure standing still behind one of the outer windows. A tall silhouette, head tilted. Like it was watching me from outside, only the building was surrounded by a 10-foot iron fence. And that thing wasn't trying to come in, it was already inside. After that night, I didn't sleep. I stayed home, staring out the window like that shadow had. Followed me. Any patch of darkness, darker than it should have been, made me freeze. I knew I should have quit. No one would have blamed me, but for some reason, even I can't explain, I went back. Maybe pride, maybe I didn't want to look weak. Or maybe deep down I wanted to know what it was. The next night, I entered the building early. The sun was still setting. That golden light hit the dusty glass, and for a moment, the place almost looked normal. But as I stepped through the front hall, I noticed something was different. The wall clock, the one I knew, had been stuck for days now, read exactly 7:32 p.m., and the second hand was moving. I walked over, touched the glass, pressed my ear against the wall. Silence, no ticking, no gears. But it was working. Back in the locker room to change, I noticed something else. The mirror, the one with a crack in the corner, was now clean. No cracks, brand new. I stared at myself for a few seconds, trying to make sense of it. Then I saw it. My reflection. Didn't blink with me. I blinked. It didn't. I swallowed hard. It smiled, just for an instant. A tiny twitch in the corner of the mouth, but I saw it. I fell backward, smacking my head on a metal locker. Tried to laugh it off, tell myself I was just tired, but the truth? That reflection wasn't me. It was a version of me that knew me better than I knew myself. And it was happy to see me there. I spent the rest of the night avoiding mirrors. I stuck to the lower floors, staying away from the third, but the building felt like it was playing with me. Things disappeared, other things showed up out of nowhere. My earbuds, which I'd left in my backpack, ended up in the bathroom. A radio that hadn't worked in weeks played music for less than 3 seconds. No voice, just static. And what sounded like a distant choir singing an old prayer. I'm not religious. Never have been, but I recognized the tone. It was a funeral hymn. At exactly 2:17 a.m., everything stopped. The lights flickered like always. That same sweet scent filled the air. And I decided to go down to the basement. The hidden staircase behind the broom closet was narrow and cold, The walls were damp. The boards creaked beneath my feet. It felt like stepping into a part of the city the world had forgotten. At the bottom, I pushed open a heavy metal door. Behind it, a narrow hallway with flickering fluorescent lights. At the end of the corridor, a reinforced glass door. Behind it, a containment room of some kind. And inside, a gurney, on it, something covered by a white sheet. At first, I thought it was just a training dummy, the kind used for CPR practice, but then I saw it breathe. The sheet rose and fell, slowly, like whatever was under it was sleeping or waiting. There was a camera in the corner, but the cord was cut. On the glass, taped to the surface, an old yellowed paper that read, "Do not wake. Do not say the name. Do not let it look back at you." I backed away without thinking. Ran up the stairs, tripping halfway. The building felt like it was vibrating, like it had a heartbeat of its own. When I reached the first floor, I heard it again, the knocking. But this time, it was inside the wall. Tock, tock, T-O-C-K. The wall trembled. Like someone or something was trapped in the bricks, trying to get out. And then I heard a voice, weak, scratched, but it was my voice, saying, "Why did you come back? Why did you come back? Why did you come back?" I ran to the exit, but the main door wouldn't open. I locked all the interior doors and barricaded myself in the locker room, curled up in the corner, clutching my old badge still in my pocket, the one with the handwritten warning. I heard footsteps just outside the door, slow, dragging, a faint wet sound, heavy breathing. I didn't dare peek through the crack, because I knew if I looked, I'd see that reflection. But it wouldn't be outside the room, it would be inside the mirror, and this time it would blink first. I don't know how. Long, I stayed there. My phone was frozen at 2:17 a.m. and for some reason wouldn't move forward. No matter how many times I restarted it, took out the battery, changed the settings, every time it came back on. It said 2:17. The locker room clock, the one with the weird reflection, had also stopped. Even the second hand, which had moved soundlessly before, was just trembling in place, frozen in time. I lost track of everything, time, sound, the city. All I could hear was my own heartbeat, and that thing breathing outside? Yes, breathing, because it wasn't a normal human sound. It was a wet hiss mixed with what sounded like slow bubbles popping. Like the lungs breathing weren't filled with air, but something else. On the cold floor of that locker room, my mind wandered to things I'd never considered before. How some small towns seem to be forgotten on purpose. How certain buildings just remain standing, even after decades of abandonment. And how sometimes what we call building maintenance is just an excuse to keep things locked away. Technically, my shift ended at 6 a.m., but the door only unlocked at 6:17. Yeah, 6:17. Like everything in that place was bound to that cursed number. I ran out of that building like a fugitive. Didn't even change clothes. Just grabbed my backpack and ran through the still empty streets, didn't stop or look back. But you know what's the strangest part? No one ever said a word. The next day, no one asked why I ran out, no one called. No one mentioned the strange noise complaints neighbors supposedly made, because there were no neighbors. I found out that the entire block around that building had been unoccupied for years. The houses that looked lived in, just facades, tinted windows, fixed curtains. LED lights programmed to turn on and off at set times. I went to the city hall to look up the building's records. The woman at the desk, an elderly lady with a kind smile, looked at me strangely when I gave her the address where I worked. She typed something on her computer, stared at the screen for a long time, then whispered, "Oh, that one, that's from the first contract." When I asked to see the files, she handed me a dusty folder, said the digital records had been corrupted. Inside the folder, newspaper clippings, very old dates. And among them, one headline from 1963, "Janitor found dead in municipal building's underground room. Suspected ritual." The janitor's name? My name, same last name, same birthplace, same age. I felt my stomach turn inside out. And at that exact moment, I got a message on my phone. It was a photo of the locker room mirror, and the reflection was smiling. The second I saw that message, I froze. that mirror photo it wasn't from before. It wasn't some old snapshot. The lighting, the details, even the slight blur from the lens, that picture had been taken seconds ago. Right then I was at home in my bedroom with the lights on. And yet, I felt watched all over again, and the reflection? It wasn't me, it was something that looked like me, same clothes, same work uniform, still stained with cleaning supplies and sweat. But the face. It had a small smile, subtle, like it knew something I didn't, a restrained grin. Almost sad, like someone watching a fish get caught in a net without understanding why it's being pulled. I shut the phone, threw it on the bed, but the feeling didn't go away. Short breath, cold hands, heart racing. That photo. It was taken from the same angle as someone watching me. As if something or someone was using my own eyes against me. The next morning I went to the city library. It's a place barely anyone visits, so I knew I could dig through old files without being bothered, and that's where things got worse. Among the old archives, I found a yellow dossier with a cracked leather cover. The title was just a number, 217. I opened it. Inside, old photos of the same building where I worked, and a series of incident reports filed by janitors, techs, and night guards over the decades. They were all reporting the same things. Footsteps with no source. Reflections that move when nothing else does. Clocks freezing at 2:17. Knocks, shadows, hallways that shift in size. Mirrors that whisper. People who forget what they were doing and reappear hours later, dirty, exhausted, rambling nonsense. But what chilled me the most was a small handwritten note stapled to the end of the folder. If you're reading this, then you haven't been fully replaced. Run. Mirrors don't show who we are, they show who's going to replace us. I closed the dossier and left without saying a word. I didn't sleep properly for weeks. I unplugged every mirror in the house, covered all reflective surfaces in foil, the microwave, the TV screen, the phone's display. Bought heavy curtains, sealed doors, avoided anything that could reflect something I didn't want to see. But you know what's the cruelest part? Even without seeing it, I can still feel it. I feel that smile waiting for me, that presence behind me. That copy? Because it doesn't matter where I go or how hard I try to escape it. I'm sure of one thing, that reflection never left. It's just waiting for the right time. And maybe waiting for me to give up, to drop my guard, to stop resisting. Maybe one day I'll look in the mirror again and it won't be me anymore. And the worst part? Maybe I won't even notice. Funny how things start out so simple, right? You take a night shift job in an old building in a small town. You think it's just going to be silence, bad coffee, and noisy mops? But sometimes in places nobody wants to enter. The problem isn't what you'll find inside. It's what was already there, waiting for you. I never told this story to anyone. Not because I'm afraid they'll call me crazy, but because honestly I think that's exactly what they want. They want me to sound insane, to isolate myself, to doubt my own mind, and eventually to accept that this thing was always part of me, whatever this thing is. I quit the job, moved to a different city, burned the uniform, changed my name on a few social media accounts, but even that didn't help. Some days I wake up to the smell of disinfectant in my room. I hear soft knocking on the wall at exactly 2:17 a.m. It feels like someone moved me while I slept. And the worst? Sometimes when I pass by a reflective surface too quickly, I swear the image doesn't move with me. It waits, it watches, it records, like it's updating a file. So, yeah. If you work alone at night, especially in old buildings, don't stare too long into mirrors. And if your reflection smiles before you do, run or accept it. Because maybe it's already too late.